First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
4 years ago today, a series of crashes in the morning fog on I-75 killed 11 people. Good evening, it's January 29th. I'm Marie Ettinger. Since then, people who frequent the stretch through Paynes Prairie have been waiting for new digital signs to provide better warnings about dangerous conditions.
And I'm Connor Ingalls. As WFT reporter Sarah Mack shows us, they're finally up and running.
Traveling on I-75, you'll notice multiple electronic message signs, some telling you to buckle your seatbelt, others warning you about upcoming delays on the roadway. These signs were strategically put in place by the Florida Department of Transportation after the tragic early morning pileup on January 29, 2012. A thick patch of fog mixed with smoke from a brush fire at Paynes Prairie has shut down the interstate. Disaster struck when it reopened. 11 people died, a dozen more were injured. Paynes Prairie rest stop attendant Ivan Delgado says a coworker barely escaped on his motorcycle.
He could start hearing the cars behind him piling up, but he couldn't tell if they were really close, so he just really stepped on the gas and tried to get out of the way.
Signs like these ones behind me were put in place on this stretch of 75 to make things a lot more safe for drivers. The digital message signs are just part of what the DOT calls an intelligent transportation system, which includes visibility sensors, thermal cameras, and vehicle detection systems.
I think they did more than I thought they would do. I mean, I thought at first they were just going to put like warning lights to come up or something like that.
This anniversary, the 4th, is the first one with the warning system now operational. Sarah Mack, WUFT News.
One couple injured in the accident is using the anniversary to mark acceptance of their life and recovery and take legal action. Bernard and Margie DeWitt were traveling southbound on I-75 from their home in Michigan on January 29, 2012 when they encountered heavy fog and smoke from a nearby brush fire. Mr. DeWitt pulled over to what he says he thought was the side of the road, but was actually the far right lane and was hit by a UPS tractor trailer. The couple's lawyer says Mrs. DeWitt was not wearing a seatbelt because she was preparing to get out of the car.
She now requires 24-hour care because there are a number of things which she cannot do by herself. It's still difficult for her to talk to a way that you can understand her. She needs assistance with pretty much all of her activities.
The DeWitts have filed a complaint to begin the process of suing UPS for damages for pain and suffering, lost wages, and medical expenses. Driley says Margie's medical expenses alone are worth more than $1 million. An accident reconstruction expert hired by the DeWitts found the UPS driver was driving 30 miles per hour when he hit their car. They believe he should have pulled over and stopped when he hit the fog. UPS responded to WUFT saying it's not their policy to comment on pending or current litigation.
The homeless census for Gainesville has started today.
That's right, and I'm caught. The Alachua County Coalition for the Homeless and Hungry sent out volunteers to survey the homeless and assess their needs. Laura Peevler joins us now in the studio. Laura, what's the census about?
Well, guys, the homeless census has actually been around for several years now, and it involves getting out into the community and finding those who are otherwise often invisible. In recent years, the homeless population in Gainesville has been on the rise, and the census has become an annual event to assess those numbers and target better ways to help.
What brought you to this county? Marriage?
Accounting for the homeless community in Gainesville is not an easy task. Many people are reluctant to share their personal situations and want their privacy respected. So volunteers do not force people to even take the survey, and if there is a question they don't want to answer, they don't have to. Still, many homeless people see the benefit of the survey.
Yes, the census has been around and has been helpful to get notification of this place of the things that maybe they can better and maybe they can keep doing for the people.
They recognize it's a harmless assessment to identify what the needs are.
The Homeless Coalition starts by targeting certain areas in the city where they can find the most homeless residents. Surveyors have been visiting areas like Grace Marketplace, Dignity Village, and St. Francis House, where they have forms like these that ask where you've been sleeping last night and how long have you been homeless. With the census taking place during cold weather,
individuals who are otherwise kind of that unseen part of the community are more visible and that there's more opportunities.
The city is also trying to determine the long-term and short-term housing needs. And Robert, who has been homeless for 5 months now, is just trying to get his life back.
Been a great struggle with reorganizing and replacing the things that I lost and the things that I regained as motivation and integrity, and to get out of the mode of depression to where I can advance, to where I have goals.
Of all the homeless people I talked to today, most just want more housing around the city. After the census is over, they hope some changes will be made.
Thank you, Laura. The manager of Gainesville's Four River Smokehouse was arrested for fraud yesterday afternoon. Officials say Jacob George stole over $40,000 from the restaurant between September 2015 and January of this year.
Jacob George was conducting fraudulent refunds, acting basically as if a dissatisfied customer wanted their money back, but instead he was pocketing the money for himself.
Bond is set for $30,000. And waking up today was a huge change in the weather. It was chillier this morning than we've seen the past couple days, but you know, not something we're unaccustomed to, I'd say.
Yeah, it's about as cold as it's been this winter, but WFT's Amanda Hawley joins us now from the Weather Center. Amanda, is tonight going to be very cold?
I wouldn't use the words very to describe tonight's cold. However, it will be a chilly night out there. We do actually have some patchy frost possible, but let's review today again. Here's the time lapse. It doesn't actually look like a time lapse though, because there's nothing going on. It's clear skies and the high temperature was around 68. You're right. It was a gorgeous day here in North Florida. But like I said, temperatures will be a little bit chilly tonight as they fall into the upper 30s, lower 40s out there, 42 by 2 a.m. But those clear skies and light winds will allow for some patchy frost to form on our Saturday morning. Now, there will be a line of high clouds from Cedar Key to Gainesville to St. Augustine that could come in and prevent some frost from forming, but I've got some great news coming up in my full weather forecast. I'm going to tell you just how great this weekend will be. Back to you.
Thanks, Amanda. A $10,000 donation is going to give some Gainesville students the chance to look at their lives through a new lens.
A new after-school video and audio production course at the Reichert House will also help keep teens off the street. WUFT's Ashlyn Reese joins us live from the newsroom. Ashlyn, what will this $10,000 do for the Academy?
Well, the $10,000 will help provide a new video studio for middle and high school students. AT&T presented the check to the Reichert House alongside Florida House Representative Clovis Watson Jr. and some members of the Gainesville Police Department.
This morning, the Reichert House received a $10,000 check that will be used for the latest audio and video technology for the after-school program. The Reichert House is designed to give youth new opportunities to learn about themselves while achieving a lifestyle away from drug use and crime.
And someone who grew up in a disadvantaged way, grew up in the housing projects, I understand all too well the problems you can get into if you don't have a mentor or a program that will help balance that community.
Today's check is just one donation that is going toward the development of the new Communications Academy. The academy will be used by students who have an interest in pursuing video production as a career.
The program will start off by serving 5 middle school and 5 high school kids 2 times a week. However, once the program gets rolling, it may expand to serve more.
The classes are expected to run for 2 to 3 hours each night. The children will either be working in the lab or will be out getting real-world experience. Either way, they will be receiving support to give them the same opportunities as their more advantaged peers.
Our young men all come from at-risk environments, so their learning opportunities are less than a typical school student might have.
Directors of the program also hope to teach their students to create public service announcements for the community. The production classes will begin in February.
According to AT&T, they were looking to donate to a program that would have a real effect in the community, and officials say the Reichert House does just that. So far, the Reichert House has raised more than $100,000 for this after-school program, primarily from private donations. Reporting from the newsroom, Ashlyn Reese, WUFT News.
Thank you, Ashlyn. Now, last week we reported U.S. Remodeled Rights Union was being delayed by a series of fire inspection failures. After another week of troubleshooting, the new rights areas now have their certificate of occupancy. As Valir Thomas reports, the big move-in is now underway.
After 2 years in portables, Rights Union staffers are finally able to move in.
We've been waiting for months to be able to move into the new building, and finally being able to be there is really exciting, not only for ourselves, but for I think a lot of the students on campus who've been waiting for the new Rights Union to open up.
In this last week before opening, everyone is working to move from these small portable office spaces into the new Rights Addition. But before staff could start moving, a few fire safety inspections had to be passed.
The fire alarm system had some glitches in it that they needed to fix, and there's a smoke evacuation system on the roof of the building that needed to be changed. And those were kind of some of the last major problems that we were having.
Bill Properzio wasn't surprised, given the scope of the work, which took 2 years and cost more than $70 million. But after passing a fire safety inspection this Monday, the Rights is ready for occupants. Everyone is working hard to put the finishing touches in the Rights Union before it opens in a few days. With just a few more touch-ups left, the new Rights Union is set to open to the public next Monday. Valera Thomas, WUFT News.
WUFT News First at 5 is just getting started. We'll have entertainment news coming up.
Plus, Harvard has announced their Woman of the Year. Those stories and more coming up after the break.
And today was an absolutely gorgeous day here in north central Florida. Not a cloud in the sky. Coming up in my full weather forecast, I'll tell you just how long this night's weather will last.